This lesson I'm going to look at trigonometry again, but this one's I'm going to focus more on angles and finding the measures of angles in right triangles. Before we get there, I want to look at how we can find the value of A. We have this equation of sine of A equal to 4/5. We need to solve it. So technically what we're going to do is we're going to take the inverse sine of both sides. Inverse sine of sine of A, and then we're going to take the inverse sine of this side. So really when this is done, if I take the inverse sine of A, I get A equal to the inverse sine of 4/5. Now that's what I'm going to type in on my calculator and see what I get. So go to my calculator. Now the inverse sine, you're going to have to push second and then push sine, and notice you're going to get that little -1 symbol there. That's telling you inverse sine. And now type in 4/5. You can close the parentheses, you don't need to, and you'll find out that you end up with 53.14 degrees. So the sine, so A in this case comes out to be a 53.14 degree angle. Now if I go to the cosine of B, it's going to be the same kind of thing. Technically here, if I want to figure out what B is, I'm going to take the inverse cosine of both sides. So let me just go like this. So it would be the inverse cosine of this side. I would be taking the inverse cosine of this side. That leaves me with B equal to the inverse cosine of 4/7. Go to your calculator, type that in there. Remember second cosine, and now it was 4/7. Push enter, and I get approximately 55.15 degrees. So B is a 55.15 degree angle. Tangent of C is 4/3. So if I wanted to find the value of C, technically I'm taking the inverse tangent of both sides. Inverse tangent of C equals C. This is the inverse tangent of 4/3. Go to my calculator and just type it in. Second tangent 4/3, and we get 53.13 degrees again. So angle C is a 53.13, or was it 14? Let me double check that. 13, which I had an error on my last one. I should fix this. This one here, this should have been a 3 also. And this is a 3. Got it. There we go. So a lot of it's calculator work. If you see equations set up like this, you're looking for the measure of an angle, push second, and then type in the fraction, and it will spit out the correct answer as long as you're in degree mode. Now remember, we are going to work in degree mode, so make sure that calculator is in degree mode. Now here's where this is going to come into play. If we want to find the measures in a right triangle, we can do it as long as we have two sides. What I'm going to do is I'm going to start with angle W, and I'm going to find the measure of that angle. Now what we need is we need to know two sides. From angle W, I know the adjacent side and I know the hypotenuse. I have to ask myself the question, which trig function deals with adjacent and hypotenuse? Answer to that is cosine. So I'm going to do the cosine of, and now this is always an angle. I don't know that. Use my variable of W. Cosine, remember, is adjacent, which in this one is 3, over hypotenuse, which is 8. Now I can use my calculator. I'm going to take the inverse cosine of both sides. If I do that, it's going to tell me that W equals the inverse cosine of 3/8. Now it's going to be, go to my calculator, push second, push cosine, 3/8, push enter, and I find out the measure of that angle is going to be approximately 67.98 degrees. There's the measure of angle W. I come up here, I'm going to get rid of all this stuff. That, I have an angle that's approximately 67.98 degrees. Now I need to find the measure of angle T. You have two choices here. I would probably go with the fact that I know the three angles in a triangle add up to 180 degrees. I would just take my 180, I'd subtract out the 90 plus 67.98 and figure out what my answer is. Come back to my calculator, I'll do 180 minus, and I'll type it in just like I had on the other screen. If I push second negative sign, it's going to give me the last answer, which is at 67.98. And I also need the 90 in there. Push enter, and I find out that our other angle is going to be approximately 22.02 degrees, which is T is going to be 22.02 degrees. Found the measure of my two acute angles, just like it asked me to. Now, we could have actually gone through and used trig to find the measure of angle T as well. I think this is probably a little faster, but it's totally up to you. If you have any questions, make sure you let me know. And again, if you have questions on how to enter this stuff into your calculator, let me know that as well.